Hello, friends. It is me, Aggie, with Agnes Friedlander Art Studio, Artist Heart Studio. Tonight, I have a special guest. My good friend, Lisa Calleri Burke of Blue Pearl Art is going to be joining me. And we are going to be talking about watercolor brushes. So for those of you that are in the membership, we are going to be doing a lot more watercolor this year. 2023, and I can't wait to get started on it. I've had a few of you asking about brushes, and hopefully we will answer all of your questions in this video, or at least enough to get you started. So if you're watching on the replay later on, just give us a shout out, say replay. We are so glad that you are here. You are so welcome. We are a friendly group. And that's it. Let me bring on Lisa Calleri Burke. Here she is.
Hello.
Here she
Hey.
is, Lisa.
Hey. Hello.
So, Lisa, tell us a little bit about yourself for those of us that may not really know who you are, what you do, how we met, whatever you want to say, just a brief.
Okay. So, yep, my name is Lisa Burke, and I have been painting with watercolors for about 7 years now. Aggie and I met 4 maybe years.
I don't even know.
I don't know, maybe ago in another group. Yep. And so we just became fast friends. And so I live in Florida, and Aggie's in Wisconsin, and we did get to meet at one time. She came to Florida, and that was so awesome. But I love watercolors, became fast friends, and she has really taught me a lot about all the different art genres because she's just amazing at everything. So
I think you're a great painter too, but
thank you.
Watercolors.
Thank you. Yeah, that's my favorite. It really is. I just love them.
What do you love about watercolors?
I love the transparency of them, and I love using a lot of water and letting them just flow and being very expressive with my paintings and intuitive and just
being loose.
The colors blending together on the paper, and I just love how beautiful they are. I really do.
And okay, and so tell us your Facebook page.
Yep, it's Blue Pearl Art by Lisa Burke, and I have a website, bluepearlart.com, where I have note cards and paintings and prints and things like that available. But yep, so that's kind of what I do, and I do teach locally 1 day a week here in Cape Coral at the art studio there. I teach beginners and intermediate or advanced watercolors. And it's just great. I love it. So I love that I get to do what I love every day.
Yay! All right, so I typed it in. I typed in your name. I typed in your Facebook page. So let's get started talking about watercolor brushes.
Yep.
So I've got a bunch here, but you know what? Let me say a couple things first. Oh, there's an echo when I talk. Oh. I don't know what to do about it.
Is it me? Because I have high ceilings, and it always sounds like there's an echo.
I only have the one mic on. Let me know if you still hear it, Andy. Huh. Oh, darn. All right, let me...
No, not Lisa. Huh.
I don't know what to do. Darn. Lisa, you go ahead and talk a little bit.
Okay. Well, just a little heads up. My husband's home. You might hear some noise. I have 2 yappy dogs, so they might bark at any time. Just a little heads up. So yeah, about watercolor brushes, I have tons of them, and you really don't need tons. But there's there's so many different brands available, and you can pay anywhere from $2 a brush to $200 a brush. So there's something for everybody with watercolor brushes. But the most popular or the most commonly used one would be your round brush. And they come in all different sizes, and you can buy them at craft stores. You can buy them online at art supply stores online. They're really easily available.
How do I sound now? Did I fix my mic problem? I didn't have the right mic chosen. And I think I'm hearing a replay on you, Lisa.
You hear me? Really?
I hear myself talking. I think it's coming from you.
I don't. Oh, let me. Well, I know I'm. I have. Let me unplug this one. Maybe.
Are you listening to us? See, I hear myself.
No, I don't hear myself.
How is that weird? Okay. Shoot. I really don't know what to do. Yeah, I hear myself echoing. It sounds like it's on your playback, like you have it on in your room.
Is it is it the TV in the background? Is that what it is? No. It's like something's playing over you. Oh, that's weird.
All right, I put echo cancellation on. How is it now? Now I don't hear it. I think it's better now. I don't hear myself like I was hearing it. I had to click echo cancellation.
You can hear the TV.
You can hear the TV. I think it's okay now. I think we fixed it.
We're like one level, and
my goodness,
living room is right out there. So it's.
Someone says they still hear it. I don't hear it anymore. I think it went away. Maybe that's a delayed reaction. Who is this Facebook user saying that? So sorry about this, you guys. Oh, yeah. Wait, no, that's the same message. Okay, someone says I'm not echoing anymore. Okay, yay.
Oh, good.
It's okay now.
Oh,
okay.
Good.
So let me say something, since I wasn't able to talk before. I want to start off with talking a little bit about, okay, a lot of us are acrylic painters, or at least, if you're a member in my membership, you've done a lot of acrylic painting, or you're here to learn acrylic painting. Well, we're also going to be getting into doing watercolor painting. And I just want to say, you probably already have acrylic brushes like Lisa has too. I do too. So the very first thing I wanted to talk about, if it's okay, is what is the difference between acrylic paint brushes and watercolor brushes? And the main difference is the softness and the amount of water that they hold.
Yes.
So they're very, very different. And I know a lot of brushes, when you go into a store, a lot of the shelves will say that they can be used for all three mediums: oil, acrylic, and watercolor. And that is true, but they are each designed to do different things depending on the filament, or in other words, hairs that are used. Okay. So ideally, acrylic paint brushes are synthetic strands, synthetic filaments, synthetic hairs. They're not, I shouldn't call them hairs though, because they're technically not hairs. They are synthetic material. They're a synthetic material, and they work really well for acrylics because they are synthetic. So they are a type of, I shouldn't say plastic, but they're strong. And they need to be strong to hold up to acrylic paint, which is plastic. And when it dries, it's hard. Essentially, it's plastic. Same thing with oil paints. You need a stiff brush for oil paints. And that is a completely different material for those too. Now, sometimes, and you can Google this and find out all this information. We're going to try and give you just the practical overview of everything. really with watercolor brushes, you want a natural bristle, a natural hair, like from an animal, like the Kalinsky. I always thought Kalinsky was the name of a person. It was some guy, but it's actually an animal. It's actually what is it, a minx? Or it's I forgot what
I
it
have
is.
no idea.
Yeah, and the best hairs, I shared it the other day in our group. The very best hairs for a watercolor brush are like more expensive than gold because
Yeah.
they're very rare. It's a very rare animal in the mountains of Russia or something like that. I'm being a little
Mhm.
ridiculous here. And it comes from their tail. Okay. Ay, 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 and so they're all done by hand and all this. So they're, Kolinsky sable brushes, you've heard of them, are very, very expensive. Kolinsky became such a thing that it became like using the word Kleenex, like describing all tissue that you use to blow your nose is not Kleenex. Kleenex is a brand. But the same thing happened with Kolinsky. They'll use the word Kolinsky when it isn't really the Kolinsky. So you got to be careful about that. But anyway, Kolinsky is very, very expensive. You don't need to get that.
No,
Lisa, I don't know if you even have any Kolinsky.
no, I don't.
One. I think I have one. And it's not necessary. However, I will say it's a natural hair, and natural hair holds water much,
Mm-hmm.
much better than a synthetic material would. So what they do is they combine the best of both worlds and they make combination brushes. But
Yeah.
they've also really advanced synthetic to work really well for watercolor brushes.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about different examples of that, but what I wanted to say first and foremost is you can use your acrylic paint brushes. They're not going to be as soft. And if you've ever used your acrylic paintbrush in acrylic paint, chances are you didn't completely wash all of the acrylic paint off of the filaments, off of the strands as thoroughly as you probably washed it. They get coated and it makes them harder than a watercolor brush. So they're not going to work as well. So if you're on a budget and all you can afford are acrylic paint brushes, or combination brushes that are for acrylic or watercolor, which you can use, there's nothing wrong with it. They just may not perform as well. And I wouldn't put them in acrylic paint ever. If I'm going to dedicate them to
Yeah.
a watercolor, don't ever put them in acrylic, separate them.
Mm-hmm.
And any watercolor brush that you buy, don't ever dip it in ink. Well, no, ink is okay. Don't ever dip it in acrylic paint or gesso. Right, Lisa?
Right. No, save your
Anything else
watercolor
you can think
brushes
of?
just for your watercolors.
Yeah. Anything else you can think of along that line that I may have forgotten?
Um,
Or what are your thoughts on acrylic
no,
paint
I mean,
brushes?
yeah, acrylic brushes to me is like just there's like hardcore. You can really abuse them,
Yeah.
But my watercolor brushes are precious.
Yeah.
Like I keep
Even
them.
even when it comes to washing them, now with an
Yeah.
acrylic paintbrush, you need to use soap.
Yeah.
You need to use a brush type soap.
Hmm.
But you don't even really need to use soap on a watercolor brush. Did you know
No, I
that?
never have used soap.
I wouldn't use
Never.
soap on it. I would just clean my watercolor brushes. You want to thoroughly rinse them, not
Hmm.
even in hot water, by the way, warm tap water. Run them right under the tap,
Yep.
and treat them gently, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
And it's
so
best. They say it's best to like when you have a watercolor brush and you're finished using it. They say it's best to just let it dry instead of putting it in a cup. Like, well, first off, you never put a bristle down. Never, never, never. I do stick mine in my jar like this, but they do say it's best to let it dry laying flat
definitely,
so the water doesn't drip down into the ferrule part of the brush, which is this part of the brush,
right,
and then it can like soften the glue that's holding the bristles together. So they say let it dry like this on a towel or something, but
right. Well,
that's
let's talk about the anatomy of a brush.
yeah. Okay.
Um, so obviously, this is the handle. This part right here is the
Mhm.
handle. Then there is the ferrule. This whole metal part is called the ferrule. That's what holds it all together. The brush bristles themselves, I never really refer to these too much. Let me get a round brush that has a belly, because believe it or not, they have a belly.
Yeah.
So this is a round that has a belly. And what I mean by that is this part, the widest part is the belly. So the tip is called the toe, or the tip, the point. And then the part where I think the part where it goes into the ferrule is called the head. Is that right, Lisa?
I'm not sure.
No, okay. So these are just, you don't really need to know
I know
this,
the
but
tip and the belly.
right. So the whole thing, the whole bristle part is maybe what's called the head. It doesn't really matter, but what you want to look for in a really good round brush is that it's got a belly, but it also comes to a really nice point.
Yes.
And there are different shaped rounds, which I think Lisa was going to start talking about. But the last thing I want to talk about with anatomy is, okay, the crimp. So that is what attaches the whole thing to the handle. What you can't see inside of the ferrule is that what they do is they take these bristles, these hairs or fibers, whatever you want to call these strands, and they, they may hand tie them, and then they use a glue to bond them to the handle. And then they seal the whole thing in with this ferrule. So water can conceivably get in there and get down into the glue and kind of melt the glue or eat away at the glue after a while, and then it loosens the hairs. If you start losing hairs, your brush is on its way out. That's how you know it's time to get another one. And so you want to try to avoid anything that's going to affect that glue in there, because that's going to make everything looser. So that's really all I wanted to say. Those are the main things about the anatomy and taking care of the brush. You can just gently rinse it when you're cleaning it. And like Lisa said, I point it downward and gently wipe it, get all the water out. Then I use my fingers and bring it to a point and reshape it to a point, and then lay it down. I actually use a drying mat like you put your dishes on. You can get them at Dollar Tree, and I lay them down on the drying mat to dry. How about you, Lisa? What do you do?
Yep. Same.
So if you wanted to share, go ahead, Lisa, about what you wanted to share regarding. So you have a few different rounds, did you say?
Oh God, I got anywhere from a 0 to 14, size 14. So the smaller the number, the smaller the brush, and these are all round brushes I'm talking about right now. And I have different brands. So like the 0. Do you want me to turn my camera down? Would that be easier?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Don't get dizzy. Let me turn it down because I'll have all my brushes laid out here. So these are the brushes. Let me pull. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, these are the brushes that I kind of keep separate from all my other brushes that I use most often. And the black ones here are like my favorite. They're silver black velvet brushes, which I've had them for a very long time, and they come in all different sizes. These are all rounds except for this guy. This one's a 3/4 inch oval. It's called an oval, but still yet comes to a really nice point. So they come in all different sizes. So these two little guys, I think I bought at Michael's. They're a size 0, and this is also a 0. Grumbacher, and this is a Princeton Art and Brush Company. So they're very tiny. There we go. Very tiny little round brushes, good for details, real tiny little details. So I always tell my students, the smaller the area, the smaller the brush you want to use. The larger area, the larger the brush you want to use. So this big one here, number 12 round, real fat one, really holds a lot of water. It's good for larger areas, covering larger areas of your paintings. And, so they range anywhere from a 0, double 0 to, I think, I don't even know what the largest one is. It could be a 24, 28, who knows. But I also have this number 14 round. And I bought this at a Blick store in Georgia over Thanksgiving, and I just bought one. And this brush alone was like $25. So it's really nice. So it has a really nice point on it. I get very excited when a brush has a very nice point because you can do some fine detail work. Even though it's a big fat round brush, you can do really nice detail work and also use it for filling in larger areas using the belly part of the brush. So, this is like my main, I keep these separate in a separate cup. So we have, and I do also have, I took one out, I have some Windsor and Newton sable brushes, which are made from sable, which are very, very nice brushes. I don't use them as often. I can be a little hard on my brushes sometimes, so I try to just use my other ones.
When you say you're hard on your brushes,
Sometimes I'm a little rough.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I just get, wild. I get wild when I'm painting, and like very loose, and I push that paint, and sometimes I just think I get a little too rough, and I try to see, like this guy, I think I abused him too much. You see how like the bristles are starting to fray a little bit.
Okay.
But when it's wet, it does come back to a really nice point. You see that? Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
See how thin that is? This is a liner script brush, which means it's just a little bit longer in the bristles. There are also rigger brushes, which have longer bristles, which are right here. I took my riggers out.
Yeah. You know what I wanted to point out too.
Yeah.
Even with rounds.
Yes.
Like here is a Blick size 6. It says Artist Watercolor Sable. It's a round size 6. So I'm gonna dip this in my water jar here. And you want to wipe it against the rim of the cup, pointing it downward to get all the water out of it. And now you can see that point, right?
Yeah.
So now I have another one. This one is called a size 8. It's a pointed round. Have you heard of that, Lisa?
Might have.
Pointed round.
Yeah.
Not every manufacturer does that, but look at this one.
Oh, look
this
how
is the one that had the big belly.
Yes.
This is an expensive brush. The reason why you want to have a big belly and a pointed round like this, I find it a little bit harder to work with a pointed round than a regular round because it's so long, but it comes in really handy when you need that variation of the stroke to go from really thin to really fat.
Yes.
So it just might make sense for you to try out a pointed round if you at some point. So just look at the difference between these two. They are a different size. One's a 6 and one is an 8, but look at the difference in the length of the bristles.
Yeah, that one looks like it could be a rigger brush even.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So the other thing too we didn't talk about is the handle length of watercolor brushes are generally shorter than with acrylic brushes because most, as a watercolorist, you're going to be doing closer up work. Usually you're very close up to it and you don't need a long handle.
Right. Like this handle. Somebody gave me this. It's a number 10, a Skoda Prada. It's so long. I mean, it's the whole length of my board here. So I think it's an oil brush, but and what's so funny? But watercolor brushes, here's the difference in the handle length. I mean, they're just, you don't want to get these really long ones.
So in other words, that's another way that you can tell if it's really a watercolor brush is it's going to have a shorter handle.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, my brother is an oil painter, and he paints with, okay, so he uses oil brushes. He told me that when he was in art school, they used to make him add something to the end of the oil painting, another stick, and they'd have to tape it, and
Yeah.
they'd have to hold the end of the stick.
Yes.
And I mean,
Get
really,
yourself
like,
really
you
far
know, 3,
away.
4 feet away from your canvas.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I could not. Mm-mm.
I took a class once where they were teaching this different techniques with mixed media, and this instructor had us get a dowel rod and tape our markers and our pens on the end of a dowel rod.
Oh my gosh.
A 2-foot long dowel rod. And actually it was kind of cool. It makes you very loose.
Wow. Well, Andy's asking if when you're starting out, are there certain sizes to go right off the bat? And I would just say yes. My most common sizes that I would say to get would be like a size 6, 8, and like a 10 or a 12. If you just
Yeah.
wanted to get just some three size in a round brush, I would get like a 6, 8. 8 is like the most commonly used size to me. Anyway, I use it the most. This is my number 8 round. And let me move this out of the way here.
And oh yeah, the other thing, and I agree, I totally agree. I mean, I've got a lot of 6s here. These 3 are 6s.
Or
The other
even
thing
like
I
a
want to point
4
out, I don't
or
think we
6.
mentioned that there is not a standard size between all the manufacturers, just like with acrylic paintbrushes. They're going to vary. You know,
Right.
Winsor and Newton's size 8 is going to be different than Princeton's size
Right.
8, you know, and etc. But they are pretty similar. Here's a Grumbacher Golden Edge 4620 series. And then here is a Princeton Velvet Touch size 8. And they're very similar. What I like about the Princeton Velvet Touch, you can get these at Hobby Lobby.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So they're readily available, you know, and they're very good brushes. They're very, very nice. The other one, I also, Lisa turned me on to the Silver Black Velvet. I've got one in an 8 and one in a 6, and they are really nice brushes.
They really are.
I think that you would like these, you guys. I think you would like the Silver Black Velvet. If you're starting out and you're on a budget, there are, you know, there's even a set of Princeton brushes. I'm forgetting the exact name of them, but you know, you could even do that. But typically, I'm not going to. I don't usually recommend buying sets. I usually recommend getting, you know, like Lisa says, a 6, an 8. Definitely, you want a rigger brush.
Yeah.
It's also, as she said, it's also known as a script brush or a liner brush.
Yeah.
Maybe a nice small one.
Has a longer bristles.
Right. And then either a 12, like here is a Winsor and Newton size 12. Here's a Princeton Velvet, or Princeton Heritage in size 10.
Like that.
These are nice.
Yeah. This is my Sable Rigger, size 6. See how long that bristle is.
Yeah. So, and the reason why they make them so long is because it can hold a lot of water. It'll hold a lot of your color, the color that you've mixed. Because of the length of the bristle, it's going to be able to hold a lot, which means
this one's a number 4.
Why is that an advantage? That's an advantage because you can draw a longer line. You won't have to stop and go reload your brush.
Right.
So then the other kind of brush, we didn't talk about this yet. This is called a quill. Now it is a round, but a quill is what holds it to the handle. And Lisa, you've got some quills, right?
Oh yeah. A mopper. It's made from squirrel hair.
Yeah, so I think this is also, well, the Princeton Neptune, this is one of my favorite brushes. I absolutely love Princeton Neptune, is a really great one. I think I have, no. I have one other, I thought. Maybe not. How about this guy? Look at this.
Oh, that's a fat one. I know. Yeah, I don't have one. This is like the fattest one that I have.
You know, I mean, there's just,
Oh yeah,
look how
but
soft this is. I've
yeah,
never even used this one. This one's called a Royal and Long Nickel Menta. So it's just a real, like this is like a mop brush. And the reason why you would use something like this, here's another mop brush. This is called an oval mop. You would use this to wet your
that
paper
looks like
first.
a makeup brush.
Yeah, it does look like a makeup brush. Maybe also you would do this for gently blending
Mm-hmm.
a larger area. What else,
Yeah, I
Lisa?
love my mop brush. They hold a ton of water and a
Look
ton
at
of
this one.
paint.
Here's a size 24.
Wow, yeah, that's a
Now, I mean, if you're working larger, then a larger
yeah,
brush is going to make sense. So it
yeah.
depends on what you're going to be doing.
Oh yeah, that's what I always say. Larger the area, the larger the brush. If you're just,
But
you don't want to
quite
take a tiny
honestly,
little, a tiny little round brush, like, and you got to do a sky. You don't know. You need a large fat brush or, flat brush or something. You need a larger brush because you don't want to use a tiny brush to try and cover a larger area. It's too much work and you're going to get streaks and
right. Well, what
etc.
I always say is to use the largest brush. You should be slightly uncomfortable. It's
Yeah.
okay. Being an artist is uncomfortable anyway, but you always want to use the largest brush possible. Now with watercolor, if you're an acrylic painter, you have to change your mentality because with watercolor, a
Oh, yeah.
big brush is not going to be an issue because it comes to a small point.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's not going to be prohibitive like an acrylic brush was.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. I've
now there's
used, literally, I've used this brush for one painting, because it has such a nice point, and yet I can cover a large area. So I've used just one brush sometimes for, a whole painting with lots of different, details
what
and
size is that one, Lisa?
this is a
Yeah, that's the only size I don't have.
14 round.
And what brand is that one?
This is that one we were talking, the Blick Masters
Oh, that's
synthetic.
right. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. I mean,
I recently
you
got,
can really get overwhelmed when you go online and look at watercolor brushes.
yeah.
It's like, holy cow, you can get overwhelmed with it. But I really like this one. This one's really nice.
And that was called the Blick Masters.
Yeah, Blick Masters synthetic. That's what that one's called.
Yeah, that
And
helps to show it like that. The other
yeah,
one that I've heard a few people touting recently is the Princeton Aqua Elite, and I have a few of these. These are very nice. They handle watercolor really well. And you could get most all of these brushes on Amazon.
oh yeah, okay. I think I might have some. So
So
I have,
a couple of the brands that I would recommend that you look at, and just for price range. So there's Princeton Aqua Elite, and then of course there's Princeton Velvet Touch.
yeah. So here's some Princeton Aqua Elite. I have that another jar that I don't use that often. So yeah, I used these a lot when I first started. The Aqua Elite, Princeton Elite.
The other one that's really nice is the Princeton Heritage 4050R series. These are really great brushes, really, really going to last you a long time. And then also, of course, I really love the Princeton Neptune.
Oh yeah, I have
Can't go
one.
wrong with any of those. And of course, as Lisa said, the silver black velvet.
Yeah.
Andy's
And
asking
I've
what
noticed
size script brush. So script brushes, again, by manufacturer, they're going to vary. But like this script brush is, this rigger is a size 2.
yes, very good for detail and like grasses, things like that.
Let me see
Those
what
are
other
nice.
ones I have.
These are dagger brushes. And this is
Okay, yeah. Now daggers, a dagger or a sword,
yeah.
those are really great for like flowers and
Uh-huh.
leaves, anything really, right? What do you
Yeah.
mostly use those for?
Here's what it looks like wet, real pointy. And this is also the Princeton Neptune. This is a dagger brush.
I ordered that one after seeing
Did you?
yours. Yeah.
And then this one is I don't know. It just says Scroggy's Loose Goose.
What?
I know. A size 1. But look how long this gets in when it's wet. I mean, it's
Wow.
literally like a wet noodle.
Yeah.
It's great for real fine little lines. And here, let me get some paint.
I've never heard of that one.
I don't know. It's just a cheap. I don't think it's a very expensive one, but it's just really great for, you can press down. It's just like you don't have control.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah.
It's good.
You can press down and make all kinds of marks with this, but real thin little grasses.
Okay, so we've talked about rounds. We've talked about the quill.
How about flat?
Now she's showing you, what was it? That was a dagger.
That's a dagger brush.
Sometimes it's called a sword.
Yeah.
Now this one, did you show this one, the cat's tongue?
Oh, see, I don't. Mine's called an oval.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So when it comes to a point like this, it's kind of like it's a filbert.
Yeah.
In the acrylic painting world, like I do have a Princeton Velvet Touch in a filbert. So basically, it's like a flat and a round.
And
It's
rounded on the edge.
But with
like that guy.
This one, this Neptune one that I have, this one in my right hand, it just comes to a point. And this is a really nice one for flowers and leaves and all that sort of thing. The other round I wanted to mention, now what's that one called, Lisa? That
I
one?
don't know. This is just called a wash. Or
It's a wash
3/4
brush.
inch golden edge grumbacher wash.
Okay,
I
nice.
don't know if I've even ever really used it.
This one here in my hand, this is a water brush. You've probably seen these. These are great for traveling. You know, if you want to just take along a little palette of colors in your car and do some quick watercolors on the go. These are nice to have because you can just quickly wet your colors with this. You just squeeze the water out and, load the brush up and paint.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could even get by with this if you had to,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, you will.
These are really nice. No, they are. They're very nice. And then is that it for rounds? I think that's it for rounds.
Yeah, rounds are pretty big. The smaller the number, the smaller the brush. Larger the number, the larger the brush in rounds.
But you can do everything. You can do a painting with only rounds if you wanted to.
Oh yeah.
You really could.
You don't need all the extra fancies, but they're nice to have.
So I'm going to get out some flats now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar to the acrylic world. Yeah. A short bristle like this is called a bright. Hey, Sandy. A short bristle is called a bright. It doesn't hold as much paint. So it's kind of more stubby and I guess a little bit stronger, stiffer, tighter. And then of course these are called flat because the ferrule is pinched flat. The top of it is flat. It's a flat shape. And what's nice about this is you can get a very wide stroke or a skinny stroke if you turn the brush the other way.
Yeah, get a real nice straight line.
So here's one with Aqua Elite. Sometimes you're going to see with watercolor brushes that they have this angled end on the handle. And Lisa, tell them what that is for.
You can use that for mark making in your paintings if you want. For example, with watercolor paper, well, that's a whole other live, but watercolor paper, if like I use 100% cotton paper, and if I want to make marks, I can use the end of this to kind of scratch marks in my paper. And what will happen is, so if I use this right now and press really hard to make scratch marks, what will happen is the paint, get some paint here, the paint will kind of go down into those scratch marks. I don't know if you
Yeah,
can see it here.
exactly.
You can
You're
scratch,
creating a valley, and the pigment,
right, the
watercolor
pigment
has a
kind of pours
finer
itself in.
pigment particle, and the pigments will fall into those crevices.
And that's another way to get, marks on your, let me pull it up, marks on your paper like that. That's just totally scratched in. You can also use it to, if you don't press as hard, sometimes you can get it as your watercolor is drying. You can also use it to kind of lift color out, but it's got to let it dry a little bit. And then I've seen where I have not done that because I don't like to scratch my paper a whole lot on purpose. So you can also do it where you can remove color. I've seen people do that, but the watercolor has had a chance to start to dry a little bit before you do that. But it's a great way to make marks, though. If you're doing grasses or whatever. But so because it's a sharp edge, so.
And don't think that that's the only way that you could put the marks in. If you want to
Oh,
do that, you can certainly use other tools,
oh yeah. I mean, there's
but it's
tons
nice
of,
when it's built into one brush like that.
yeah.
That is a nice
No,
thing. So then I've got a few different flats here, just in different sizes. I think that they are nice for doing, just big washes, big areas,
mm-hmm.
bricks, or cobblestone, or anything with straighter lines.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to use a round brush when I'm painting round things, and a flat brush when I'm painting square things.
Right, like
It's common
buildings
sense.
or, things like that.
Yeah,
You need to get around sharper air angles. It's good
right.
to use more of a flat brush.
So
And there's,
here I've got this one's called, this is by Princeton Heritage. It's a 40/50 series brush. So this is called a stroke brush. And again, it's got longer bristles, and what that enables you to do is load a lot more pigment, more of your mix into the brush. It's going to hold a lot so that you can do a lot with it without having to reload. So if you've got maybe you want to do a long stem, a really long stem, and come back up and do a leaf. If you load this whole thing up, you'll still get a very thin line, and you'll be able to move in one long fluid stroke by one fill, if you will, one fill up of the brush. So sometimes that's something to think about. Probably that would come down the line as you get to know watercolor painting a little bit more. Um, you'll realize that you might want to try something like that. It's really fun to try different brushes.
it really is. It is. I have like a 1 inch, I have a 1/2 inch flat, and then I have this flat angle brush. Angle
That's a
brush.
good one. I
The
don't have
angle.
any angle brushes. I'm not an
No.
angle brush person.
Well, I don't know. I buy things on a whim sometimes, and I don't even know if I've ever used this one either. But this is just a cotton and Winsor Newton Cotman angled brush, and it's really good for leaves, to make leaves and things like that. Let's see. If you're making, you can make thin little strokes, and then you can press it down and make thicker strokes. So it's just nice. It's just fun to play with the different things brushes can do. You can make leaf shapes. Get a little more.
Yeah, I've seen people do
Stem and a
demos, and
leaf.
it's a lot easier when you have an angle brush to do certain types of
Oh
strokes.
yeah, yeah. They're fun. It's just fun to play. I don't use it hardly ever, but it's just nice to have a variety of brushes sometimes, just to see which ones you prefer. Some people
Yeah.
like certain ones, and you don't know until you try them.
And I want to point out too, when you first get your brush, you're going to notice very often, like with a round, they come with this plastic thing to protect them. And I do know some people that save these. They're good for when you're traveling, but I can never manage to get them back on here without bending some of my bristles, so I throw them away. But that's up to you.
Yeah. And
Um,
also too, you might notice like your brush feels a little stiff. Once
yes,
you take that plastic piece off, um, sometimes they feel a little bit stiff, and you just have to kind of dip it in water and get it's some kind of it's some kind of something they put on there sometimes to keep the bristles.
it's almost like sugar
Sugar
sugar water or
water,
something. I forgot what
yeah,
they use, but they use
right.
something to make it come to a point, and you need to get that off. Rinse that out gently. You don't need to use soap, like we said earlier. Just warm tap water.
Yep.
Gently rinse it. Usually, what I'll do when I'm washing a brush, a watercolor brush, is I'll just gently circle it in the palm of my hand a little bit, just a little bit, just to release, you know, release the pigment under the, like this would be going on under the tap water. So I'd have the water running on my hand while I'm doing this, just to,
Yeah,
gently get it all released.
it's a good idea to do that.
Right? How do you wash your brushes,
I'll
Lisa?
just rinse them in my water.
Same thing.
Clean water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't even touch them?
Oh yeah. I'll like rinse it really good in my water. Right now, my bucket of water is not extremely clean, but and then I kind of just will, flatten them out and then let them
Okay.
sit. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just use clean water to clean them off when I'm finished. And
So
if you take care of them, they'll last you.
they'll last you a very long time.
Yeah.
All right. So what I think what Lisa and I both agree on, as far as watercolor brushes. So anything else we want to demo?
Oh, how about the fan brush?
Oh, the fan brush. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, this is a fun brush. This is good for like palm fronds. So let me show you.
Oh, palm fronds.
Yeah, I know this is a number 4 fan. It's not a necessary brush. It's just a fun brush.
I think I have the
That's
same
all.
one, but these
It's
are
just a
stiff
fun brush.
bristles.
Huh?
Is yours a Princeton?
Mine's a Princeton Art and Brush Company. It's not a real expensive one.
Does it say 4350 on it?
Yes,
I have the
FN.
same brush.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. So these
This
are
is what size do you have? This is a 4.
4.
You have a 4?
Yeah,
Oh, mine must be really stained up.
that's
I
fine.
don't know. I've had it for probably 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
do recommend getting a fan brush. I like using them for splattering.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're
Oh,
really
yeah,
great
that's
for
a whole yeah.
splattering. You just do this to splatter. Just run your fingers
Yeah.
through it.
Well, here it's good for like if you want to do, you can do lines, but then if you wanted to, it's good for
Grasses,
wispy. Yeah,
waves.
wispy.
Yeah, that'd be great for a wave.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. But it's a fun brush.
Yeah. Okay, so what are our final recommendations? And then we're going to take your questions. So have your questions ready for us,
But
ladies.
one more quick thing.
Oh,
Another
sorry.
thing for splatter, a
Oh,
toothbrush.
yeah, an old toothbrush. Save your old
Yeah,
toothbrushes.
you take your paint and you can just, wet your brush, dip it in your paint, and you can splatter little splatters all over your paper. Old toothbrush.
All right, so Lisa, I want you to pull together a set of what you would have your student, what do you want them to buy to be ready for your class? And put them out in front of you
I
there.
tell my students to buy a number 8 round.
I got an 8 round.
Yep. Number 6
Got
or a
6.
number 4 round, something smaller.
Oh, a 4. Okay, hold on. Well, this is a 4. I know I've got more 4s. I've got a 3 and a 2.
Yeah, I mean, that can be added later, but because you really can do fine details with your average number 8. You can do fine detail work with it, and you can do larger work with it. So it's a very versatile brush, the number 8, because it does come into a very nice point. And I mean, I've had these brushes for years, so they still really are holding up nice. And so I can do fine detail work with the number 8, and also, I can cover a larger area if I need to, or using the belly of the brush to, fill in a larger area. So number 8 is like my go-to. It really is. And
Okay, so as far as a flat, would you recommend a 3/4 inch or a 1/2 inch or both?
I would do a 1 inch.
Oh, a 1 inch.
Yeah, I would do a 1 inch or 3/4 inch. I mean, whatever you can get. This is a 1/2 inch. This is something you can have extra, but I think on my materials list when I'm teaching, these are the 4 brushes that I have them want to get: a number 12 or 14 round or 10, number 6 or a 4, whatever they can find, and a number 8 round and a 1 inch flat. You can do all kinds of paintings with just those 4 brushes. It's not necessary to have all these others, but it's just fun. If you want to splurge.
And what about a rigger?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yep. And the rigger brush.
All right, so wait, you said 3/4 inch flat, like a 12 or a 14 round.
Yes.
An 8 round,
An
a
8
6
round.
round, and then a smaller one like a 2 or 3 round, right?
Yes.
Or did you say 4?
Well, number 4, 6 or 4, maybe, if they're wanting to do small detail, a really tiny, like a number 2 or 3 or 4, something small, just maybe to have in case we need to, you need to do something really tiny detail work.
All right, here's a 2. Okay, so I've got 4 rounds and 1 flat, and then a rigger, right?
And then a rigger. Yeah. Let me find my rigger.
Where's my rigger?
There it is. Mine's so old that I don't even know what number it is. Oh, it's a 4. I can still see it.
I have a 2 rigger.
Okay, and this is my rigger here. Let me turn this over. So these right here, and here's my rigger. So it's not that many. And you can get these, the silver black velvet lately, maybe they got popular, I don't know, but they used to be not as expensive as they are now. But you can get, fairly inexpensive brushes, online or at the craft stores. Just start out if you're just starting out. I wouldn't advise buying, a $50 brush if you're just starting out.
No,
Mm-mm.
I would not either. I could probably look up, let's see how much a silver black velvet is. So they're on Amazon, right?
Yeah, I bought mine on Amazon. They do have them at the art, websites as well. But I bought mine on Amazon way back.
Okay, silver black velvet watercolor brushes. I'm looking right now. So a size 6 is $15.89.
15?
1589. Yeah, 15.
Yeah. See, I think I spent like $30 for 3 brushes. Like 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, I mean, and here they've got a silver brush limited. Oh, that might not be silver black velvet.
There's different some
Oh, it is silver black velvet, and this is a script size 4. It's a script though.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
There is another one on there that looks like these silver black velvets.
Oh, the Dainewa.
Yeah, but they're a different name, but they look just like this.
Yeah.
And I might have a couple of those too. I'm thinking they were silver black velvets, but they weren't. And they work just as well.
Those are called DAINAYW. And you've got a lot of those, right?
I do. They're my mop brushes. The
Yeah.
same name, DAINAYW.
They do have a set for $22.89.
The mop brushes or the
No,
black?
it's just rounds, and they are squirrel
Yeah.
hair.
So they're not as expensive as the silver black velvet.
Yeah, and this is size 4, 6, 8, and 12 for $22.89.
Oh yeah, that's a good price, and they work just as well.
So let me share that in the comments.
And really, that's all you don't need.
Oh, that's a really long link. I don't know why it's so crazy long. Hold on. I didn't share the right thing. Oh, it gave me an error because I posted that crazy thing. Oh, gosh. Hold on. Sorry. Oh, here. Okay, so I posted it again. Oh. All right, so Lisa, why don't you can you turn your camera back up? We'll see your pretty face.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
all right. Sorry. Don't get dizzy.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Okay.
So what questions do you guys have? Are you still here? We still have like 9 people here. Shoot your questions at us, you guys.
Yeah, ignore that mess. I had hurricane damage, so house is all messed up right now.
Oh, I'm still showing an error here. You guys still here? Oh, now I can see comments. Hold on. Well, no, I can't. Oh, okay. So Coco is asking how to store your brushes. Great question.
I just have mine in a little cup.
Yeah, I've got a couple of different cups.
Yeah.
You can stand them up once they're dry.
Once they're dry, you can see these are all the ones these are all watercolor brushes that I don't use every day. So they're in a separate. The ones I use every day, I keep in here.
Yeah, just stand them up in a jar.
You just stand them up, but never leave your brush in your water.
Never.
Like that. Don't, you can rinse it and pull it out, but don't leave it. Where am I? Don't leave
because
it.
I mean, you have to be gentler on these watercolor brushes. They will become misshapen if they're more like hair, like the way we dry our hair
and stays
that way. Yeah. So you don't want to leave them in the water.
Right.
So Andy says the last set you posted would be good enough to start. Yeah. That's the Dyna. I don't know how to say it. Dyna.
And they look just like the silver black velvet ones.
Those are just rounds, which you could get by totally with just rounds, Andy. At some point, you might want a flat, and you might want a script liner brush. But that small one is pretty small. It could probably that 4 might even work as your script.
Yeah, that is a pretty small one.
Yeah.
4.
Oh, you're welcome, Coco.
Yeah. Yes.
Who's saying, is that you, Michelle? Thank you for all the great information. Can't wait to start some watercolors. I know.
And then you'll get to the point where you'll have 35 palettes like I have. I'm a watercolor hoarder. Tube paints. I prefer the tube paints than I do the pan sets, but I mean, and the beautiful thing about watercolors, you do not have to put a lid on them at the end of the night. You can leave them babies open. This is just a small palette I have.
Oh, hi, Lori.
And it's filthy. And you can leave it open and they dry out and you can just spray them with water and get started with painting. You don't have to.
They're a nice quick setup. You don't have to open up all the tubes and squirt out all the paint like we have to do with acrylic paint.
Out in the wells and get ready to go.
Okay, so Coco,
kinds of palettes. I have like so many different ones.
Coco is asking, between that Dinois and Princeton, which one is better? Well, I don't have the Dinois, but Lisa does.
I'm going to say I don't see a difference.
Yeah, they're probably the same.
Yeah, they're probably about the same. Yeah, I think they're all about the same.
All right. And then Brandy is asking.
Oh God.
Oh, she's asking about watercolor sets. What's your favorite watercolor set? Oh my goodness. Well,
I have too many. I mean, I have Holbein, Daniel Smith, Winsor Newton. I mean, I have so many different brands, but
well, you know what? Before we talk about brands,
yeah,
so you're probably aware, you guys, you can buy watercolors that are dried and in a palette. They're little squares or little round hardened
they're called a pan set.
pan sets. Thank you.
Yes.
Or you can buy tubes.
Yes.
And I just want to say right off the bat, do not conclude that the pan sets are any less quality than the tube sets, because they are just as good.
Mm-hmm.
There's really the only difference, really, honestly, is
I might have mine. Hang on.
I mean, I prefer, I have both, but with the tubes, I take them and squeeze them into my own palette. So you can kind of customize your own palette when you buy a tube set. When you buy, I don't buy sets of watercolors. I individually buy the colors that I want. And of course, in the membership, I'm going to recommend what colors. We're going to use a limited palette, similar colors to what we use in acrylic paints, because that's what we're used to. That's what we're accustomed to. So you want to do a limited palette and get to know your colors really, really well. The same way that we are with our acrylic paints. But I definitely would recommend tube paints. So I'm probably going to recommend 9 tubes of paint for you. I'm probably going to recommend Holbein, but they are really pricey.
Let me show you what I just got these about a month ago. There's 24 in a set.
When it comes to watercolor, the quality really does matter when it comes to watercolor paints.
Yeah. I just got these probably about 6 weeks, maybe a month ago, Holbein.
Yeah.
And that's what's in this palette. Now, geez. There's more paint tubes though than I had wells. So I don't have all of them in there. But they were like $70.
I finally got you to get Holbein, huh?
I know, right? I had to break down.
I've been telling her Holbein.
So
what do you think of them, Lisa? You like them?
I do like them a lot. They're very saturated with pigment. They're very, very nice.
They won't ever dry out. They don't have the oxidol.
They're nice and juicy and moist all the time. Yeah. So they come in these little, well, this set came in, what ounce is this? Oh, it's 1.7 ounce, I think. They're just little tubes like this, and they will last a long time. They'll
probably last your lifetime.
Yeah, you don't squeeze the whole tube into your well. You just squeeze a little bit.
Yeah.
And they last so long. So they're really beautiful colors.
So my favorite set is Holbein. But honestly, I really love Winsor and Newton watercolors. And it depends. I really like the little pan sets that you can get, the $24, $27 pan sets.
Yeah.
Is it Arteza? I'm trying to remember. Let me go grab some. Lisa, you tell them what you like.
Yeah, I mean, I have, and here's another palette I have. So I have lots of palettes, and I like the tubes better because I can control the amount. Once the little pan sets, the little squares in the pan set, mine's packed away. I don't know where it is. I guess
you've got some pan sets here.
There they are. I guess you can replace the little squares if you use it all. Is that how that works? I don't really use. Like if you run out of a color there, would you replace the little square in your pan set?
Yeah, you can. You can buy these individual little white things that you see in here.
Yeah.
They sell these on Amazon. You
Okay.
can customize your own palette. They even sell these boxes in different sizes so that you can totally make
Yeah.
your
Oh
own.
yeah. Yep.
And then they also sell all kinds of different palettes with different numbers of wells in them.
Yeah.
You know, that you can create your own palette from the tubes. So this is what I was talking about. It's by Art Philosophy. You can get these on Amazon. These are really nice. You could start out with this if you wanted to. These are great. I love these. There's different colors. This one by Art Philosophy is called the Classics. And again, this is by Prima. This is like when I bought these a few years ago, I think it was $24. So I don't know what it is now, but you could actually start with something like this if you wanted to.
Now this is a really cool little pan set. It wasn't expensive. Hold on, I'm losing a little square here, and they're all iridescent colors. These are like the colors.
Oh wow!
And they're all iridescent. Yeah,
Those are
and it's
pretty.
by here's what they look like.
Wow.
Yeah,
What
they're
company
real
is
pretty.
that?
It's artsy.
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 Okay.
I know. It's Amazon. Artsy. And they give you a little chart that you can, put your colors in so you know the names of all the colors. And they're just real pretty. They're real shiny and iridescent. So that's fun. After a while, you just get like, I don't know, I'm like a kid in a candy store with art supplies. Core is another one I
Core is really good.
like.
I don't have that, but everybody loves Core too. They're expensive.
Yeah.
But you like them, right?
Huh?
You like them, right?
I really do.
Do you like them better than Daniel Smith?
I think Daniel Smith is really nice, but I think they're too hyped up. My opinion. Daniel nice, Smith, but I think there's other brands that are just as nice.
Yeah. Daniel Smith has a few, well, maybe more than a few, unique pigments that granulate. So do you have any examples of granulation? I'm really putting you on the spot, Lisa. I'm sorry.
Well, not Daniel Smith, but can I show you something that I did just get?
Yeah.
And I really, this was a spontaneous splurge. And I was playing with them earlier today. These were really expensive. They were from Canada. I never heard of them before, but I saw somebody use them. These are called Rockwell.
Ooh.
It's called Charm. Okay, and there's 2 different sets.
Oh, I love this.
I know, right? And so was this palette. And what happens is the colors, well, there's 2 iridescents, this blue right here and this pink are kind of iridescent, but look, like opposite. What it is the colors granulate with different colors, and it's hard to see it on here.
Okay. Wow.
Let me see if I can. Let's see if we can see on this one.
So they're like two-toned?
Yeah.
I see it now. I see it on that purple. Yeah.
Yeah. This one here.
Yeah.
They just have these different.
It's like it has a secondary tone to it, and it separates.
Oh my gosh. So I was playing with them earlier. It was like $170.
Wow. All right. Is this granulation? Here. This is
that's the most I've ever spent on paint.
I don't know if you can even see this. I'm going to use this as a pointer.
I won't do that again for a while. That's so pretty.
Is this granulation right here? Would you call this granulation? Not really, huh?
Not really. It's when you can see like
the grains.
Grains. Let me see.
Well, you can you can kind of see the grains, but with the Daniel Smith colors, it does this much, much more. Much, much more.
I don't think you can really. Oh, I don't think
Yeah.
so on this one.
Not a little bit.
Oh, this is.
Yeah, on the edge of the clouds up
Yeah,
there on the
it's
top,
where
I
you,
see it.
it's where you can really see the grains, the granules of the paint.
Of the pigment, yeah.
Some people don't like that. Some people really love it.
Yeah, some people that's the main reason why people are so crazy about Daniel Smith. So Brandy says she won a Daniel Smith tube set.
Yeah, I mean Daniel Smith is a
Wow.
great brand. I just um I've just used so many different brands that I like them all. That's my problem.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to have you back on again, and we'll talk about palette colors and things like that. We should
Yeah.
just do swatching one night.
I know.
Okay. Oh, Coco has another question.
Yep,
When
you with both of your paints, with the tubes and the paint, you just spritz them with a little bit of water to get them going.
When you use the pan set, you need to spray water on the dry
Yes.
first to get it to work. Yes, exactly. And Holbein sells the actual Mister bottles. They actually sell one that kind of splatters a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of nice to have that as a tool because what you can do as a technique is you can do a wash, cover a whole big area with, let's say you've mixed up some paint and you just cover this whole area. And with watercolor, you basically, it looks really shiny when it's super wet. And then the shine kind of goes away. And when it gets to that point where the shine has gone away, or maybe it's sat a minute or two, you can spritz it with one of these Holbein water spritzer bottles, and it kind of spits the water out, and it'll make an effect on that semi-dry paint. You know,
It's called a bloom or
so they actually sell those bottles just for that reason.
look, I have all kinds of samples. There's what happens when
Yeah.
your painting has started to dry after maybe 2 or 3 minutes. The shine has gone off your paper where it was really wet. The shine has gone away. If you then splash water, you'll get what's called these blooms or cauliflowers or backgrounds, people call them.
Yeah, cauliflowers.
Yeah, there are all kinds of names, but a really cool way to create interesting textures in your paper, in your painting.
There's even another thing, you guys. There's even watercolor markers.
Yeah.
You know, that's a whole different animal.
Oh yeah. Here's some granulation too, I think.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a little granulation.
Yeah. It's like it's a little more solid, a little more almost opaque.
Yeah. But you can get some really, really cool. Yeah. I mean, I could go on all night, with watercolor pencils too.
Yeah, watercolor pencils, you're right. But now I don't know. Watercolor pencils to me are a great tool to use in mixed media, but it's not enough pigment in there to actually do a whole lot with watercolor. If it's an addition to where you've got color laid down already, yes. But you're going to be going at it a long time with a watercolor pencil to get a decent amount of pigment.
They're good if you have to draw something out, like a flower. Like if you're doing a red rose, and you can use a red watercolor pencil instead of a regular pencil to draw your sketch.
Yeah.
And then you want to use paint as well, not just watercolor pencils to do a painting.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to kind of, it's a technique to have as an underlayer, and then when the water hits it, it's a surprise, and you don't have total control over it.
Yeah,
I've seen people do that a lot. Well, they'll use a watercolor pencil to trace a design on, and then paint over it, and it kind of has a cool very subtle effect, but it is kind of cool. Well, any more questions? Any more questions, my friends? We've had you on a long time.
Yeah, one other thing, paper, when you buy your watercolor paper, you want to make sure it's at least 140-pound weight.
Oh, very good point.
Nothing less than, no 90-pound, no anything like that. 140-pound or above is best.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if you can swing the 100% cotton, or mostly cotton, that's going to give you the very best results. However, if you're starting out, I'm going to recommend that you just get like the Canson Excel.
Yeah.
So you kind of get your bearings. You kind of need a cheap pad. It's not even cotton. It's, what is it? Cellulose fiber or something?
I think it's like pulp.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
That's what this is. This is that, Canson Excel watercolor.
Yours always turns out so pretty on that cheaper paper. I don't know.
Yeah, you can get great results on this.
Yeah, you really can.
Because you want to feel comfortable. You don't want to feel like, oh my gosh, this paper is so expensive, I'm afraid to use it.
Right.
You don't want to feel afraid to use it. This is cheap paper, especially when you buy these pads from Michael's on sale.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to feel comfortable painting with them.
Yeah.
So. All right, my friend.
On the front. Yeah, on the front, it'll tell you what the weight of it is. It will tell you 140 lb or 90 lb. You want to make sure it's at least 140 weight.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot more to talk about as far as watercolor supplies. I mean, it comes in pads. It comes in sheets. There's so much more we could talk about with this.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about watercolors more.
Yeah.
If Lisa will put up with me.
Yeah. I love to talk about it. I could talk about it all day.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. And if you're not following Lisa, grab her link that I shared above there. She's on Blue Pearl Art. If you aren't following me, I hope that you will. I'm Artist Heart Studio on Facebook. My membership is The Painter's Journey. We do 2 lessons a month. We do paintings. We do glass and resin projects. And at least 1 really good painting lesson per month. So if you want to improve your paintings, I would love to help you do that and build your art business. That's what I'm about. So that's it. Thank you so much. And have a wonderful Friday.
Thank you, guys. Yay.
Bye.
Bye.